All right, so we are going to do the warm up first, then once again, we'll take out that worksheet from yesterday and just finish that up. So I look at this and I say, oh, that just doesn't look nice, but I have a way I can kind of take care of it. So I'm going to multiply everything by the common denominator. And what is the common denominator? Somebody yell it out.
24.
24. Okay, so remember, I'm kind of cross-reducing as I do this. So this is how I do it. I'm doing this in my brain. I do 24. I'm going to reduce it with 4. So I'm going to do divided by 4 is 6. Times 1 would give me 6x. Okay? Plus 24 divided by 3 is 8. Times 2 is 16. Minus, we know half of 24 is 12. Plus 24 over 6 is 4, times 5 is 20. And last but not least, 24 over 8 is 3, times 7 is 21. So once you can kind of do that reducing, it makes life way easier because now I don't have to deal with any of those stinky fractions. I can combine like terms, so over here, 6x minus 12x gives me negative 6x. 16 plus 20 gives me 36. Two-step equation, I'm going to subtract. Hi there, how are you? Hi. How are we doing? We're doing fabulous. Look at this. Isn't that a nice equation?
That's a good one. I just did piecemeal functions next door.
Oh, piecewise, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm doing that in that class.
This one I like.
Yeah. They told me they love fractions, so I just love to.
You guys love fractions?
Yeah, they do. They do.
Absolutely not. I know that.
I thought you guys told me that the other day.
I don't know, maybe Evan did.
Oh, me too. I knew
No.
it. I knew it. So then we're subtracting and we're gonna divide. Please make sure fraction answers are fine, but we can reduce that. A double negative is a positive. Those were divisible by 3, right? So 5 over 2 should have been your final answer. Can you please check that? Does anyone have a question? Or are there any steps that are messing you up that you want to go over?
Wait, why is it 5 over 2?
I don't know.
It'd be 5 over 3.
Because this is divisible by 3, so if I divided that by 3, I'll get 2, right? Any questions on that? It's tricky. Once again, when we have an assessment, am I gonna give you like 10 of those? No, I'm not gonna be that mean. So, well,
Maybe just one.
Maybe one.
Maybe one.
Maybe 2 if I'm feeling a little crazy. So you're never gonna have a lot of these to do. I always see sometimes for warm-ups, I just like to, start off the class and then on a nice note. But I don't want you to think you're gonna get a quiz or a test or an assessment, whatever you call it now, and it's gonna be all fractions. That will never happen. So in general, we're gonna do some of those word problems. So any questions before we start? So can you find the worksheet from yesterday? I think we had done all of the front, a little bit of the back. We had to finish up what was on the back. So let me find mine, because let's be honest, I am not writing that. I'm gonna project them just so we can kind of see them together. But you should also have them in front of you. I think we saved the best for last again on this worksheet. I think there's some good ones on here. You guys are probably gonna be pumped about them. I will let you know the word problems that you have at home. I like some of these ones that are a little crazy. I didn't give you ones like that at home. So sometimes we just do them in class just to see, just to be exposed to them. You might not even have them on an assessment, but I like to at least show you some of the things that makes this more of an accelerated class as compared to the lower level. We are going to do some harder stuff, so just as a heads up, don't get freaked out by it. So sometimes we're just kind of going through it, but we might not actually be tested on it. So I think we're on number 9. So we have a mason. A mason is someone that lays bricks or stonework. They're laying rows of bricks. Okay, so they're building a wall. So they will spread 3/8 inches of mortar, so that's what holds the bricks together, on top of all but the last row of bricks. So if you think about the top of a wall, you don't put it on top, that would be kind of ugly and weird. The finished wall will be 1 1/8 inch less than 4 feet high. Man, that was a lot of info, okay. Thankfully, they give me a little picture so I can kind of see what's going on. So it says the mason wants to lay the bricks so that the shortest edge of each brick is vertical. How many rows of bricks are needed? Okay, so let me just like take this, and that's a lot of info. So let's go back and just remind myself. I'm building a wall. I'm putting bricks on it. Okay, that's not that exciting. We can kind of see what the wall looks like. So use the picture. The picture helps you visualize. And I need the wall to be 1 1/8 less than 4 feet high. Okay, we'll go over that in a second. So here we go. Here's how we set it up. 1, try not to get overwhelmed by information. Just take one thing at a time. So it's asking us how many rows of bricks are needed. So my X is going to be the number of rows of bricks. I'm just stacking them up. How many rows do I need? How many bricks do I need? Okay, all right. Whew. I'm scared. So let's look at the pick. We have a brick. Sorry, I'm just looking at the actual picture. See how in the brick, this is the side that I'm looking at, the shorter side of vertical. So it's 2 1/4 inches tall. So I'm going to start with that. We have 2 1/4 inches for each brick. So I'm going to put an X next to it because that's going to represent how many bricks I have. But each brick I'm adding to my row is going to be 2 1/4 inches. Okay, that's not that bad. But we know that in between each brick, there's mortar, right, holding them together. So I go back and it says that the mortar is 3/8 of an inch. So once again, I'm showing you how to do this. I wouldn't expect you to do this on your own right now, so don't have a heart attack and say I couldn't do this. That's okay. So it's 3/8 of an inch. Hey, but here's the problem, guys. As I'm laying it, so I have a brick and then mortar, and then a brick and then mortar, and then a brick, but on the highest one, I don't have mortar. So I can't just write 3/8 X because that last row doesn't have mortar. Does anyone know how I would write it? If I have to take mortar away from one row. Hey, if I say take away in math, what do we think of? Subtraction, and I need to take it away from one row. So from this row, I'm going to take 1 away. That's it. So don't overanalyze. I know it's a little tricky because there's just like a lot going on. And then what do I need? Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm just going through my own notes here from last year. So what I also need, okay, so I have my bricks, I have my mortar, built them a little wall ski here. I need to know how high I want my wall. I want it to be 1 1/8 inch less than 4 feet high. Gosh, what a weird way to word it, but we'll go with it. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna add that 1 1/8 inch right here. And I'll show you why in a second. And I'm gonna say this is gonna be equal, just as a reminder, if this is in inches, we can't say equals 4. We're gonna make this in inches as well, and that would be 48. I want it to be equal to 48. So what will happen when I solve this, and I'm not gonna be mean, and I'm not gonna make you solve it by hand right now, I'll tell you the answer. See how I have the 4 feet, but when I solve this, I would subtract that 1 1/8, which would make it 1 1/8 less. All right, that was all sorts of crazy. A lot going on. If you actually think about it, it's really not bad. It's just, this is how tall the bricks are, so I put an X with it, because that's how many rows. Plus, I have the mortar for everything but one row. And then I just put that little bit of extra so I can subtract it off of that side, so it's not terrible. Right now, I would not expect you to do that on your own. So sometimes I'm just gonna do some stuff with you, just to show you some of the more advanced problems. But once again, that's something we'll do as a class, not necessarily independently. I'm gonna be nice today. I'm not gonna make you solve this. I'm just gonna tell you the answer. If you wanna solve it later, I'm happy for you. It comes out to 18. Okay. I'll be nice. Especially if we're not using calculators, that would be a big old disaster. So it says, suppose the mason decided to lay bricks, oh gosh, so that the 3-inch edge is vertical. So basically, he takes this and he flips it, and this 3-inch edge is vertical instead of the 2 1/4-inch side. Sorry, lost my spot. If the mason lays the same number of rows of bricks that were used, how high will it be? Okay, so that one's actually not that bad. So now it's 3 inches instead of 2 1/4. So just think about it here. I would replace that with 3 with 2 1/4. So it's 3 inches, but we said that there were 18 rows. And there's still, 3/8. But once again, you would only do the 3/8 for 17 of the rows because the last one wouldn't have it. So basically that's just plugging back into kind of the first part. You don't need to worry about the second part, that can take care of itself. Once again, I'm not gonna make you do the math out. It comes out to 60 and 3/8 inches. Once again, don't worry about it, if you're freaking out and saying I can't do that, that's okay. With accelerated, sometimes I just like to show you things, even though you say you need to do them on your own, but I just wanted to at least show you that for that. So we're gonna do that last one. Once again, a little more going on than some of the other ones, but then we'll go back and try a few just kind of the not as difficult ones, hopefully. To wrap up today, there are none like these on your word problem or your worksheet that you're working on one of your remote days, so don't have a heart attack. There will be stuff like using those charts, so we'll re-go over that again. So let me do number 10 with you. Once again, I don't expect you to be able to do this on your own right now. You format a document in 3 columns, okay? I do this all the time. I have my documents in Word or Google Doc or whatever, so I'm gonna just put it like this. Drawing pictures is sometimes helpful. It tells me the document is 8.5 inches wide. Okay. I'm gonna put it in 3 columns. I do this, you'll see I always put things in columns. So I'm just gonna kind of go like this. So it would make nice 3 columns, everything would be nicely spaced, it would be beautiful. You wanna have a left and right margin, right? We can't go all the way to the edge. So we're gonna have a left and right margin of 1 inch each. So I'm gonna put a margin over here, that's 1 inch. A margin over here, that's 1 inch. Okay, so I'm just labeling as I go. Between the columns, there's a gutter, so what you don't want is you don't want one column going all the way up and then this one's starting there and then it just looks weird because they're too close to each other. So there's like a little space in between the columns called the gutter. So I'm gonna kind of just go like this. There's like a space in between them. And it tells me that space is 1/8 inch as wide as each column. Okay. All right, I'll label that in a second. So the first thing, or the next thing I'm gonna do, what is the width of a column? So I'm gonna say X is the width of a column. I'm just gonna try to backtrack because I skipped it for a second because I had to do that first. It tells me those gutters are 1/8 inch as wide as a column. So that would be 1/8 as wide as a column and 1/8 as wide as a column. So those, the X goes with them because it's 1/8 as wide as that. Oh my gosh, this is all sorts of crazy. And then I actually want to know what's the width of a column. So I want to know what's this, what's this, what's this. I'm just going to take all these things and add them up. Okay, so we have a lot going on now. I'm going to reorganize myself. I have the margin. I have the column. I have the gutter. I have another column. I have another gutter. I have another column, I have a margin. Oh gosh, that's ugly. And we know that the document is 8.5 inches wide. I'm gonna be nice again, I'll just tell you the answer. I'm not gonna make you work too hard for this one. Without calculators, this is a big pain in the butt ski. So you could go through and combine like terms. You have some fractions, some decimals, so you have to deal with that. But in the end, your x is 2 inches. All that work just to find it was 2 inches. So those are more challenging problems. Once again, I don't think there's even any like that on when we eventually have an assessment, which we will talk about today. But I like to show you, I know a lot of people think I'm never going to use this. That's not necessarily true, depending on what you do in life. Algebra is one of those things that does pop up quite a bit with problem solving. So maybe you're not going to sit there and make an equation about how to set up a document, but someone somewhere has to make a program to set that stuff up, and they use algebra to do it. So as much as some of this seems a little crazy, you will either benefit or use it at some point. So here's what I'm going to do. Sorry, I have 8,000 things up right now. I think we're going to do this one. All right, so I'm going to give you a problem. I'm going to give you a few minutes. I have to kind of input attendance here. So I'll put the screen down so you can actually read it. So this is kind of going back. Okay, this isn't that crazy. But our main goal is, I want to read this, so let's read it together. The price for an adult movie ticket is 1 1/3 times more than a movie ticket for a child. So that makes sense. You go, you have an adult price and a child price. The adult is more. So right now, I see that an adult is being compared to a child ticket. I would make a chart. Say adult, child, pick one as X, and pick. So that's the first thing I would do. So Inez is taking her daughter to the movie. Obviously they have to buy tickets. So it's Inez and her daughter, they have to buy tickets. But they also obviously are gonna buy popcorn. And then it tells me the total. So at that, or given all that information, can you write and solve an equation to find the prices for each of their movie tickets? So chart will be helpful because you're finding two things. Think about writing the equation. They have to buy an adult ticket, a child ticket, and their popcorn. That gives them a total. And you actually go back and solve that. So I'll give you a few minutes. I know these take a little bit to process. We are doing a workout, so this one I am going to have you actually solve to the best of your ability. And then we'll check in with each other in a minute. Let me just do attendance here. The only way you get better at anything is to practice. So please actually try it. If you sit there and stare at a wall, that's just not very helpful. I'll give you one more minute. Try to have a final answer. All right, so I'm gonna start to set it up. We'll see if we are agreeing, disagreeing, having an issue. Okay, here we go. So I go through, I just kind of organize the wording first here. So the main thing is, okay, I'm comparing two things, so I like the chart. The chart helps me not freak myself out here. So I'm just gonna say adult ticket and then a child ticket. And it tells me the price of an adult ticket is 1 1/3 times more than a child. So a child's gonna be X, adult is 1 1/3 times as much as X. Does anyone have a question there? Okay. So one thing at a time. You can write that as 4/3 X, I don't really care, whatever makes sense to you. But we've now defined our variables. X is a child ticket, we can see how adult is related to it. So now I go through, so Inez is taking her daughter, so they're gonna buy one adult ticket, one child ticket, and they're going to buy popcorn, which is $5.50. You do not put an X with $5.50 because it has nothing to do with the price of a ticket, it's just kind of an independent thing that you're adding on to your bill. So it's just plus $5.50. and they spend a total of $26.50. Okay, so that should be your equation. So now I wanna, kind of combine, move things around. So what I wanna do, well, I guess you can just do it like this. I'll combine those, that gives me 2 1/3, right? At the same time, so just so I don't have to write it 9 times, I'm gonna subtract that. That will give me 21. Dividing by mixed numbers is a big pain in the butt, I think. I like improper fractions, they make more sense in my head. So I would rewrite 2 1/3. Remember, you do the denominator times the whole, add the numerator. So that will give me what, 7/3 x equals 21. And then to get rid of this, you can either multiply by the common denominator like we've been doing, or if you just have that one fraction, you can multiply by the reciprocal. I'm a reducer, because I don't want to do 21 times 3. 21 over 7 is 3, and then 3 times 3 would give me 9. So a child ticket is $9. So that would be 12. Because 1/3 of 9 is 3 plus 1 is, or plus 9. So if the fractions are messing you up, you just have to try to get a little better at fractions, I'm gonna be honest with you. So we'll practice as much as we can. I get it, like I'm still a little rusty from our 6-month little break. I know I did some stuff at the end of the year, but not as much as we were doing regular school. So just make sure when you're doing them independently, I try not to make them as tricky. So you should be a little bit more like, okay, I can do this. Remember, when we're in class, we are not using calculators. Obviously, if you're outside of school, I can't really, I'm not gonna be over your shoulder. And so if you're using them, that's fine. Just make sure you do feel comfortable without them though. Because we're gonna have an assessment at some point. So I'm kind of looking at the schedule. As of right now, we don't know when the term ends. I know we just started, like we've only been here 2 weeks. But who knows, they just do crazy things. So what I wanna do is just, I don't wanna wait too long and have an assessment on like a ton of stuff. So we're gonna, maybe next week. Hold on, I'm just looking at the schedule here. So we did word problems yesterday and today. You guys are gonna do a little bit more practice with them on Thursday and Friday. Tomorrow we have kind of an independent assignment. You guys will see tomorrow for that. So then next week, I'll take your guys' opinion because I don't really care. Either Monday or Tuesday, we're gonna have an assessment. So here are your options, ready? You take an assessment Monday, but remember, I don't see, like, next time I see was Monday. We're not doing that, never mind. Okay, we're gonna have an assessment Tuesday, I'm not giving you a choice. That's too much. We need time to go over stuff. So here's the deal. Thursday, Friday practice, you already feeling there won't be crazy ones, so you should be like, okay, you should at least be able to look at yesterday's/today's worksheet and find one that looks similar and kind of work off of that. And then there'll be some just equation stuff in there as well. Monday will come in. You will have submitted all your work last week. I'll scan through it. I'm probably not going to correct every answer because whatever. But on Monday, we will look at the answer keys. We'll see what questions there are. We'll clear up stuff. Maybe we'll practice a little more. And then Tuesday, we're going to have our first assessment. Now assessment, I don't know, sometimes I feel like that's a kind of aggressive word. It's more like this isn't like a crazy one. It's more like a quiz. It's just a little quiz. But remember, we just said kind of assessments is the general term now because of life. So that will be our plan. Just a reminder for tomorrow, it is a remote day. So I will see you at 8:32. Please be on time. we have a little, sorry, I'm gonna turn my video off. A little assignment we're gonna do. Oh my gosh, it's oh, give me patience. Give me patience, where are you? Deep breaths. Oh, there we go.